I think of Robinhood as a top-tier investment bank, except instead of trying to make money, we're trying to fight poverty.
I feel extraordinarily lucky being a board member of Robinhood because throughout the years that I've been involved, I've gotten to meet some incredible people, some of the Robinhood heroes who could have done anything but had a great idea and went back to their communities and really made it grow into something remarkable.
People forget what New York City was like 25 years ago. The homeless all over, neighborhoods decaying, folks dying by the scores all over the inner city, and people had decided this place was unlivable. And here were these two nice guys saying, we want to do good, we want to do something to make a difference. And I remember smiling and thinking, nice guys, unfortunately they're in the wrong city. New York City's too tough for these guys. Boy, was I wrong.
Paul called me probably 24 hours after the stock market had crashed and said, we're going to go into a very severe economic period here in the United States. It's going to look and feel just like it did in the 1930s. I'd love for you to be involved and help me start a foundation to give back, because there are going to be people severely in need in New York City.
I think they brought Dad in because he was a straight shooter. He told them, do not disappoint these people. Do not come in and act like you're going to make a difference and leave. If you commit, you must commit. And he would later become a member of the board of the foundation and be involved in their work for 25 plus years.
I mean, when Robinhood introduced metrics, it was revolutionary. It is really bringing, a lot of what is best about the for-profit sector to bear to make the nonprofit sector even more effective.
I found out about Robinhood through John Kennedy Jr. I was already involved with some cultural institutions. He said, you really need another dimension in your life and you should be doing something in the fight against poverty.
I went to the breakfast, the Heroes Breakfast, and I was blown away by the stories and the effectiveness of the organization.
David Saltzman was telling me about baby college, and I was so excited, and he was so excited, and we got more and more animated by it. And then he's like, you need to be on the leadership council. And I was like, yes, I need to be on your leadership council. The next day, of course, I was like, what did I just commit to? I have no idea. That being said, it was probably one of the most profound moments of my life.
It's a place where you can operate on a human scale and not just on an institutional, sovereign, wholesale, corporate scale. These are people in need, and you get to make a contribution to them, and that makes you feel good.
We feed lunch to kids who sometimes haven't had a decent meal in a week.
I had literally hundreds of my children's parents dying from HIV and AIDS. There was a commonsensical way to deal with this issue. Give addicts clean needles. And people resisted it and watched mothers and fathers die. And Robinhood stood up and said, this is going to save lives. We don't care if it's politically unpopular. And that just, to me, is a very proud moment for Robinhood.
I came to this country when I was 16 years old. It was supposed to be a temporary absence from my home. In October of '62, the missile crisis happened, so I couldn't go back, my parents couldn't come up. So I found myself in this country without their help. People rose to the occasion to help me and others like myself in finding a place to stay, a school to go to, support, mentoring. So to me, that is something that I carry with me, and I still want to give some of that back.
We feel that education is the silver bullet and that it's able to take aim at just about any issue.
Robinhood was part of the key group of funders that decided we were going to really push charter schools. And in places like Harlem, in places like the South Bronx, we now have really good schools where we've never had them before. When you walk around New York City and you see that Robinhood has actually created brand new schools, you recognize that this foundation is here for the duration. There will be young people getting great educations for 100 years.
We first got involved with Robinhood right after September 11th, and we decided to give money as a family to the victims of 9/11. And Robinhood had set up a spectacular program to deal with people who basically had nothing and were devastated.
My wife, she was working at the World Trade Center. that day she passed away.
I sat down with Jim Dolan and John Sykes on September 12th and said, we got to do something for the spirit of the people of New York City, much less money.
The next thing I knew, I got a call from the director of development who asked me if I'd like to go to a rock and roll concert.
Under an anthrax threat, it's ratcheted up to the most unbelievable, thing you could ever perform a concert under.
In the audience tonight, we have 6,000 special guests. New York City firefighters, police officers, rescue workers. Tonight is dedicated to you.
To see the emotion.
Osama bin Laden, you can kiss my Royal Irish hands.
I think it had been the first day that the firemen and the policemen had come out as a group, and they were just beside themselves, standing on their chairs, cheering for everything that happened, and everybody cheered for them.
Concerts in October, the money's out December 7th. It's incredible.
How can it be? These people don't know me. What I thought was, these people really love me.
There was a moment at the Robin Hood benefit a couple of years ago when you had these veterans who marched in. And what that did was really evoke a sense of who these people are, how many there were, how committed they were, and what our obligations are to people whose patriotism caused them to sacrifice on our behalf. And that has stuck with me for years.
And day by day, my life gets colder. My eyes go thin as I get older.
I was in Los Angeles looking at Rockaway getting swamped, by the storm.
Homes on the Bay for more lower middle income and middle income people. Their houses were destroyed. Hoboken was under 6 feet of water. We saw the families with young children coming in. Those people were in real desperate need.
I knew people were hurt from the storm, so I decided to sell hot chocolate outside my building. I raised $64.
I grew up on Rockaway in the summers. My grandmother had a little store there, and to see that boardwalk be destroyed, that's when I said, let's do what we did for 9/11 one more time.
If we're going to do something with Sandy, we just can't do New York City this time. We have to do the whole area.
And how do you put the biggest concert in the world together? Go to Paul McCartney.
Keep donating because it's going to the best cause, Robin Hood.
And they started rolling in. The Rolling Stones are in. And that's how you raise $70 million.
It was a great concert, but the real bottom line was 500 organizations benefit. And basically the money got to them in a matter of months, which is truly fantastic. Robin Hood's the organization to do that.
So I was about 9 years old, and I had an idea one day with my friend that we were just gonna have a lemonade stand.
From a very early age, my children saw the lemonade stands that Robin Hood set up and wanted to get involved.
Me and all my friends, about 20 of us, we got up bright and early and we went out and sold lemonade.
It went from one and multiplied to a bunch, and now it's a big movement.
So it was at a dinner like this that I gave some money to support the construction of a library in a public school in New York City. I went to the school and I couldn't believe there were chain link fences and cinder block schools with no air conditioning. There was no library. It was just sort of a room with boxes. So I met the principal. He was an amazing person. We walk into this library. I have my 3 children with me and my wife. They'd never been there before. And the school still looks like the cinder block school that it was, and the chain link fence is still there, but you open the doors and there's this amazing library. We opened brand new boxes with brand new books and put them on the shelves. And it was beautiful. It became the center of the school. The little kids would walk up and they came up to your knee and they sort of like tugged on your pants and said, "Thank you so much for doing this for us." Robin Hood is extraordinary. I mean, I thought for me and for my family, what an incredible organization to allow us to have that experience.
The cause is so important. We live in the greatest city in the world. Many of us are so fortunate, but there are so many people that need help.
My dad grew up in the South, the segregated South. His high school class was the last one before Brown. He received tremendous help from outside the community to go to school, to go to college, and to get to where he is. So that was my call to action.
I grew up in the East New York section of Brooklyn. I went to Thomas Jefferson High School. We lived in the projects. My dad worked nights at the post office. We were takers of other people's philanthropy. So how could you not feel like you need to pay it back?
Those of us who are fortunate enough to be able to alleviate someone's suffering ought to be involved in alleviating someone's suffering.
Robin Hood affords you the opportunity not only of giving dollars, but of volunteering, of being on boards of some of these organizations, of going and helping. I think that's very enriching in anyone's life.
It's the way it should be, and it's what I want my kids to do.
And we call that joyful responsibility.
Dad got such purpose and fulfillment out of the work he did with Robin Hood. It is all he talked about. It was the passion of his life.
And I think that is what philanthropy is about. It's about giving back. It's a gift, actually. The payback is you just feel good about it. And Robin Hood, there's no better organization on the planet.
When you look at our great city today and you see the vast changes in this city, you recognize that Robin Hood has played a key role.
Neighborhoods have improved, schools have improved, you know. It's nice to know there's a champion out there that gets things done.
We have kids graduating high school, going to college, about to return to our city. Not as young people who have no future here, but as young people who are going to be part of the next generation of great New Yorkers. And I expect we'll have mayors and Congress folks and governors coming from this group of communities that people had literally written off.
What would this city look like if we were all in this war against poverty together? I mean, all of us, right? If we were all foot soldiers, everybody who's capable of being a foot soldier, what's it going to take? What's it going to take? How are we all going to become part of this?